We want, inshallah ta'ala, to continue from where we left off. Well, let's recap. So we started talking about adatul hikaya, citation, or citing blasphemy. And we're talking here about citing blasphemy, not just citing anything. So we're not talking about citing any and everything. Rather, we're talking about citing blasphemy. Let's start from the top. That is from the top of the case. Last time when we started from the top of the case, we started with the case of a book. Before we start with the case of the book, let's start with the case of someone's own tongue. If a person says blasphemy from his tongue, if it's explicit blasphemy, or if it's not explicit but he intended the blasphemous meaning, and his tongue didn't slip, and he was not crazy, and he did know the meanings of the words that he said, then he blasphemed. Why blaspheme? For producing this blasphemy, for generating this blasphemy, even if he doesn't believe in it. Okay. What if he just only, without believing in it, just thought about it? He just thought about the blasphemy and he pondered on it in his mind. For example, some people said Jesus is God, or they said Allah is over the throne, or some people said some other blasphemy. Some people said there's a God who's light and he created good, and a God who's dark and he created evil. So a person, he's just thinking about this blasphemy, he doesn't believe in it, but he's just pondering on it and investigating it in his mind. There's no blasphemy here. Okay, let's go to another step. A person opens a book to see blasphemy there in the book. And he didn't say anything with his tongue. All he did was open a book to a page that had writing. That writing was previously existing. That writing was literally existing before he opened the book. It didn't appear because he opened the book. So then, in this case, there's no blasphemy on this person's part of opening the book and looking in there. He also did not generate any blasphemy here or produce any blasphemy so that he needs a citation. And what's similar to that? Witnessing any blasphemy. Being a witness to blasphemy doesn't require a citation. If you walk down the street and you found a bunch of so-called Hebrew Israelites saying blasphemy, you don't have to say, "Qad yuqal." No, just gonna, if you want to see what they are saying, stop and look at them and listen to them. There's no blasphemy here. You're just being a witness to some blasphemy, so you don't need a citation here. So now, what about if you wanted to reproduce the blasphemy that's in the book? Either by writing it with your own hand, or by taking a picture of it, or by printing it out on your printer or your photocopier. Then, if the blasphemy is not already cited, you're going to need a citation. So the citation can be verbal or it can be written. Either one is valid for verbal blasphemy or written blasphemy. A verbal or written citation is valid. Either one is valid for verbal or written blasphemy, either one. Meaning, if you write the citation and say the blasphemy, or if you say the citation and write the blasphemy, it's valid. It's a valid citation. What's like writing the citation, or what's like saying the citation and writing the blasphemy? That's just like when you say, they say, and then you push the button. You're pushing the button is like writing the blasphemy. And then you say, they say. So what's that? That's a verbal citation for a written blasphemy, for example, if it's something that's going to, some words that are going to appear on your screen. Or for some audio of blasphemy, for some blasphemy that will come out of the speaker. You're verbally saying they say is valid. And likewise, what if what you want to reproduce has the citation on the page? It says there on the page, written by Ibn Taymiyyah on the cover. And there's blasphemy there, even on the next page. Like there's a cover page, written by Ibn Taymiyyah. And then there's a second page that's following the cover page. It has blasphemy. So it's already cited. It's cited in writing. And then you press the button without saying anything. That's valid. I think all of that's clear. Then we started talking about electronic devices with more detail. If you wanted to push play or power on or anything that makes the blasphemy appear on your screen or from your speakers, do you need a citation? So the answer is it depends on what the person believes. This is what we covered last week. Let's be more specific. We are talking here about laptops, phones, or any other computers, laptops or other computers, phones, tablets. We are also talking about cassette tapes and discs such as CDs and DVDs, VHS tape if you happen to still have one. If a person wants to initiate any of these devices, and by initiating it, blasphemy appears, does he need a citation? So someone listening might have said, yes, immediately. And we're going to say it depends on his case. Because he might not know how these machines work. And so based on a crude understanding of how these devices work, you would not need to cite the blasphemy that appears. How's that? Because in his own understanding, the blasphemy is already there. It's just like a book. It's just like blasphemy written in a book. For him, this cassette tape, this VHS tape, this CD or DVD has the blasphemy grafted onto it somehow. In his own comprehension, the blasphemy is there now, just like a book that has blasphemous words written in it. And in his own comprehension, the blasphemy is embedded in his computer or his phone. So when he pushes the screen or pushes the button and the blasphemy appears, then because of his comprehension of the issue, for him it was like opening a book and finding what was already there. And we have established that if a person opened up a book to find a statement of blasphemy in there, and he didn't say any blasphemy, he didn't read it aloud, all he did was open the book and look at what was already there, he does not need a citation. For some people, in their comprehension, all these devices are just like a book in this regard. Meaning, for him, the blasphemy is already there. So then, if he presses play or the like, without a citation, he does not blaspheme. On the other hand, if a person understands how these machines work, and he knows that there is no real blasphemy grafted onto the tape or disc, there is no real literal blasphemy embedded in his computer or his phone, he understands that. So that when he presses play or power or whatever makes the blasphemy appear, he does not believe that it was already there, and he does not believe that its case is like the case of opening a book merely to see what's already there and only witness blasphemy that was already existing. Rather, his comprehension is that there was no blasphemy existing before turning the device on. Or thumb drive, for example, same thing. or any kind of disk, floppy disk, if he understands how these devices really work, and his comprehension is that his initiating the blasphemy, yani his turning the screen on, pressing the icon, the app icon to make something appear, pressing play, pressing power, etc. His comprehension, yani, or swiping, for example, his comprehension is that it's his action that's making blasphemy appear, and that blasphemy was not existing before his action triggered it. This is what's correct. Then he will need a citation before if he knows the blasphemy is going to appear, before he swipes, before he taps the icon, before he presses play, before he presses power, etc. Before he turns the channel to another channel, then he will need a citation. Not because he's turning the channel, he needs a citation. Not because he's swiping, he needs a citation. Don't mix this here. He needs a citation because he expects blasphemy to appear. He knows blasphemy is going to appear. What if he doesn't know blasphemy is going to appear, and then he swiped and blasphemy appeared, and he didn't do a citation? There's no blasphemy here. Be firm here. Don't be unreasonable. And don't turn your minds off here. Think about every instance of something before you do it. Don't say, I don't want to think about the rules of blasphemy. I'm gonna crazy glue they said onto my screen for everything, and then I don't have to worry about it. Don't be like that. Be a thinker. Use your mind. You say, I don't even know what's going to come when I swipe. I don't need a citation. I have no fear here. There's no reason for me to have fear because I'm not being unreasonable. The rule is the rule, and it's very clear. Whatever's going to appear, I have no idea. If it were blasphemy, I'm not going to blaspheme. So then you don't need a citation. If you knew blasphemy was going to come, you need a citation. If you forgot blasphemy is going to come and you did not do a citation, you don't blaspheme. It's very easy. Okay. And so, based on this, if you want to send a file or a link that opens up blasphemy or opens up to blasphemy, then do you need a citation to forward the file or the link? Still depends on what you believe here. Same thing. But in this case, if you believe that the blasphemy is embedded in the file, it's already in your computer, even if you don't have your computer on. If your comprehension is that the blasphemy is in your computer, even when your computer's off, for example, then when you forward that file that has the blasphemy in it, you need a citation. Because then it's going to be your conviction that you are forwarding blasphemy. Whereas if your comprehension of the matter is that the blasphemy is not embedded in your device and that it will not appear until you do what triggers it, until you push whatever button or swipe, etc., or tap an icon on a screen, that the blasphemy will not be existing until you do what triggers it. If that's your comprehension, which is what's correct, then you do not need a citation to forward the file. And you do not need a citation to forward the link. Because the file is not blasphemy. And the link is not blasphemy. Rather, the blasphemy will appear when you access the file or click the link. Is there any question here?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Let me see if I can ask it properly. So,
Okay.
if one is a person who believes that it does not exist until the file is open, and he forwards the file, And when he forwards the file, he knows that the other side, the other person is going to open it. That is not
No, this
blasphemy.
part I didn't say anything about that.
Okay, all right.
I'm just talking about forwarding it.
Okay.
Forwarding it because forwarding it is like duplicating it.
Yeah.
That's the issue here. So you're duplicating something. So are you generating a new blasphemy when you make a duplicate? So not considering whether the person opens the file or not.
Okay.
So if your comprehension is that the blasphemy will not exist until you access the file, then forwarding the file itself does not require a citation. It's not going to be counted as duplicating blasphemy. But if your comprehension is that the blasphemy is embedded in that file even without accessing it, or it somehow is embedded in the link even without clicking the link, then you will need a citation to forward it, because then in your comprehension you will be duplicating the blasphemy.
Yeah. I understand that part. I just wanted to know if that other person is going to open it and it's going to produce.
So then the other person, his case is going to be like your case. Does he know that when he clicks that and opens it, blasphemy will appear? If so, then he needs a citation. Unless he believes that the blasphemy was already embedded in there, then he won't need a citation, because to him it's going to be like opening a book to see what's already there. And if he did not know that there was any blasphemy that would appear, then if he does not have a citation, he does not blaspheme. Amin wa fiq. He said embedded in the link. Can I explain? Yeah, just like when we say someone, his comprehension is that the music is grafted onto the cassette tape. It's in the tape. Somehow it's there. So even without putting the tape into the tape deck and pressing play, in his comprehension, the kufr is there on the tape. Or even if it's not kufr, in his comprehension, the music is there on the tape. It's embedded there somehow. So like that. So if a person, his comprehension is that this kufr is in the link, it's not really in the link though. But that's how he comprehends it, like cassette tape or like a CD. Just like he might comprehend that the images are grafted onto the CD, the sound is grafted into the CD, so it's there already. So maybe that's how he comprehends the link also. So if that's how he comprehends it, then the rules like that will follow. You can follow up with that if you want to. Question: how about if a person doesn't comprehend anything? He's not sure what he believes when he forwards it. Some people don't even think about it. So it's like your question is, what if a person doesn't remember that there's blasphemy involved? Is this your question? Or he remembers that there's blasphemy involved. So if he doesn't remember that there's blasphemy involved at all, then why would he do a citation? He's not going to blaspheme. But if he remembers that there's blasphemy involved, then he needs to take another step here. He needs to think about what he's doing. I personally don't conceive. You say he remembers, but he doesn't hold the conviction if he's copying it or not. And it doesn't work in my own mind though. He remembers there's blasphemy involved. He's going to send it to somebody, and he doesn't think about what that implies. It doesn't work in my own mind. It only makes sense in my own mind if he doesn't remember there's blasphemy involved at all. Otherwise, if he remembers there's blasphemy involved, how does he just not think about what he's doing? It doesn't make sense to me.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I'm not speaking for that person, but I'm wondering about like if the person is not sure how they interpret it. Like that's what it seems like they're saying. But like if the person is not sure how they interpret it, whether or not they know.
Okay, so that means that person, he's fully aware that if you open this file, there's going to be blasphemy appearing, or if you click this link, there's going to be blasphemy appearing. This part's clear for him. So then he wants to share it with someone. And he says to himself, I don't know if there's blasphemy in there as it stands without clicking it, or if there's not. So what is he going to do? Then let him ask. It's not permissible to act without knowledge. Acting without knowledge is haram. Let him ask. So we did mention that imitating someone's handwriting is not a citation. Also, impersonating a person's voice, impersonating someone, is not a citation. So now I'm going to read all of what I said. I'm going to read the way it's written here. So, according to the rules we have just mentioned, opening a computer file also has the same judgment, as well as pressing play on a cassette tape, playing the compact discs, and whatever is similar to them. In this issue, there are two cases. The first case is the case of the one who believes that as a result of pressing play, that the blasphemy will take place without that blasphemous statement having been previously existent. Yani, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm still thinking about that question. Because even, let's say, for example, you see someone on a microphone and speakers. When you see him talking into the microphone and sounds coming out the speakers, something crossed your mind. So on a rudimentary or crude level, you might think his sound's going through the wire, and then it's coming out the speaker. Something doesn't make sense to me that there is nothing that crosses mind whatsoever here. But you can follow up if you want to. Okay, so in this issue, there are two cases. The first is the case of the one who believes that as a result of pressing play, that the blasphemy will take place without that blasphemy having been previously existent. Yes. If this is the person's conviction, then he must use a citation before turning it on if he wants to escape blasphemy. So that's clear. This is because the person does not believe that the sound is already existing and contained inside the cassette or the computer, etc. He does not believe that the device is like a locker containing blasphemous words. He does not believe that the computer already has the blasphemous writing in it. Like for myself, for example, back in the day, I had many cassette tapes. So in my comprehension, all the music was on the cassette tapes. It wasn't that required in my own comprehension that it did require for me to put it inside the machine, plug the machine in, press play. Yeah, all that was needed to make the sound come out the speaker. But in my comprehension, I used to always wonder, wow, how do you make a sound stick to a tape? I don't know, but that's what I thought it was. So one would have to use a citation before turning it on if he wants to escape blasphemy, because he does not believe that the sound is already existing and contained inside of the cassette tape or the computer. He does not believe that the device is like a locker containing blasphemous words. He does not believe that the computer already has the blasphemous writing in it. Rather, his conviction is that he is initiating the blasphemy by his doing, by his pressing play, by his swiping, by his etc. In this case, he needs to say, they say, or the like, or any valid citation. Also, what did we mention last week? It's possible that a citation is not valid, but what's the judgment if someone uses an invalid citation without knowing that it's invalid? Then he doesn't blaspheme because in his own mind he's citing. His belief is that what exists in this device is merely codes and signals, and that his doing is what generates the blasphemy. So according to what we have just now said, if a person wants to record a cassette tape, or he wants to duplicate a computer file, he wants to duplicate a cassette tape even without sound, or a computer file, or he wants to transfer a file from one location to another. from one computer to another, for example, or through an email. All of this without sound, just transferring. Or like when he duplicates the cassette tape, what do they do? You have the master tape and then you have the blank tape. You put both in, press play on the master, press record on the blank, and you might just turn it down because all you want to do is record. You could even record at high speed. So he just wants to duplicate the cassette tape without sound. We're talking about the one who does not believe that the blasphemy exists without his doing. Then he does not need a citation to duplicate this cassette tape or to make a copy of this computer file because he believes that he's only transferring codes and signals. And the second case is for him to believe that the blasphemous expression already exists in the device. It is already contained and locked in the cassette tape or the compact disc before pressing play. He believes it is already contained and there locked away. Then, when he presses play or turns it on, he believes that his doing only made him encounter what was already existing. Like for him, it was like opening a book to see what was already there. But he does not believe that he generated blasphemy that was not already existing. Instead, to him, turning this device on or pressing play is like opening a book to see what was already existing in it. So he does not blaspheme if he presses play without a citation. And in this case, if he wants to record this blasphemy from that device to another device, or he wants to duplicate a cassette tape, or he wants to make a copy of this file, and this is the one believing that the blasphemy is already existing, and then he will need a religiously valid citation, even if he's recording this cassette tape without sound, because he believes the blasphemy is already there. He believes the blasphemy is there without letting the sound play. So then he must use a citation to duplicate this cassette tape or this CD or make a copy of this file. Because he believes that now he is initiating new blasphemy. Yeah, he believes he's initiating new blasphemy. So, for example, he will say, now I record the misguidance of so-and-so. And in regards to a question that came up last week about a video, about a video of an action. Someone is doing an action of blasphemy on a video. All a person has to do is say, like if someone says, it's not valid to say they say because there's not a word here. So all you have to do is say, for example, it is depicted here such and such, or something that means that. Such and such is depicted here. That's just like saying they say, or he wrote. Therefore, the judgment of this act is built upon the person's conviction. The judgment. The judgment is based on the person's conviction, but in reality, the people who are knowledgeable of these devices said that no sound is contained already in these machines. No writing is already existing in them. That's what the experts about these machines say. Instead, in these machines are codes and signs and signals. And this is what Sheikh Abdullah was last upon. And some of our sheikhs, they told us that Sheikh Abdullah, it used to be his comprehension that the sound is going through the wire and coming out of the speaker. It's not though. The sound is not going through the wire and coming out of the speaker. Last time we were talking about the camera, looking at blasphemy through the camera lens. You don't need a citation for that. That's what we said. That's correct. Yanni, what's that? That's going to be like looking at blasphemy with your glasses on, for example. You don't need a citation. The blasphemy is there, then you put the glasses over your eyes. Now you're going to say, oh, they say. Now I can see it clearly. They say. Doesn't need a citation because you put the glasses on. Or that's like pulling out a magnifying glass. Just because you looked at it through a magnifying glass, that doesn't mean you need a citation. So you don't need a citation to look at the blasphemy through the camera on your phone, for example, when it's a live feed, the live feed. Hence, if a person wants to play a cassette tape or a compact disc or a computer in a way that because of playing it, a blasphemous expression is generated, whether a sound or writing, without a citation along with it, then he is advised to produce a citation. If a person wants to play a cassette tape, compact disc, or a computer in a way that because of it playing a blasphemous expression is generated, whether sound or writing, without a citation, and we do not know his conviction about this issue, we don't know what he believes about this issue. Yeah, this is a good point here. Then he is advised to produce a citation. Here's a question that comes sometimes. Someone sent me blasphemy. There's no citation. Do I deem him as a kafir? No. You don't have enough warrant to deem him as a kafir. Because you don't know if he could have cited with his own tongue. He could have just said, they say, and then pushed the button. Or you don't know. Maybe his conviction is that there's no blasphemy until you open it up from your side. So he didn't need a citation. You need the citation. So if you saw somebody turning on something and there's blasphemy and he didn't do a citation, just advise him. That's if there's blasphemy there. But some brothers and sisters, they won't let you turn on anything without a citation. And this has driven people away. Some people, for example, they learn with us and they learn this knowledge here, but they're not reasonable. And they are just extremists in this issue so that they harass their families. Their families maybe are not learning with us. And then they say, I don't even want to learn with those people. They made you crazy. We didn't make you crazy. You're being unreasonable. They will harass their family, not let their family turn on anything at all, ever, without a citation. Not knowing what's going to come out of the radio, the car radio, the television, or what. And maybe you, if you're that one, you wrote, they say, and then you taped it onto your television, or you taped it to your computer, or the like, or your phone. And your family's looking at you like, oh man, this is crazy. For sure. Like your family's like, for sure, this is not required. Why are you going? This is what they taught you? Yeah, it's not required. They're right. As for his judgment, this one who produced blasphemy, whether or not he blasphemes, this depends on the details that we just stated. But you don't have warrant to deem him as a kafir because too many scenarios. This is like non-explicit. It's like not explicit. Someone pressed play and kufr came out of the speaker. And he didn't say a citation. So then you might be that one who said, oh no. So don't say it like that. You can't deem him as a kafir like that. Not unless, you know for sure his situation warrants deeming him as a kafir. Now, in reference to the television, and television has own thing about it because of the way it works. It seems that there is no one who believes that the writing that appears on the screen existed previously within the television before turning it on. Yes. So yeah, that's the case. Television. You don't think that the writing is in the television before you turn it on, or the sound is in the television before you turn it on. But I remember as a kid, I was so confused listening to the radio. I realized that, it's not in the radio. There's a guy broadcasting from somewhere. But how does he make all of those bands come to where he is so they can play songs for him, so he can make us hear? So no one apparently thinks that the writing is already in the TV or the sound is already in the TV. So they see the computer differently and the phone differently. Well, they do work differently though. According to this, whoever believes that when he turns the television on, that a blasphemous expression will appear written on the screen or blasphemy will come out of the speaker. But he does that without any citation, such as the name of the broadcasting station. Yeah, and he turns that on, expecting the blasphemy, and he has no citation. He doesn't make a citation, and what he is playing does not have a citation already. How would it have a citation on the television? Like the name of the broadcasting station appearing on the corner of the screen. Then, to escape blasphemy, this person must say a valid citation when he turns it on. Because he doesn't believe that it's already in there. So it's not like opening a book to him. And also, as for the one who believes that when he turns on the television or the video, that the image of a person who is speaking blasphemy will appear. And in that case, he did not use a valid quoting statement, then he does not blaspheme. He does not commit blasphemy because, in his comprehension, it's like the image of the image of the person talking is a citation. For him, the image of the person talking is a citation. That's his comprehension there. So then he doesn't blaspheme. And this doesn't work for a cartoon because even the one who would, for example, watch the news and see that the image of the person talking is equivalent to a citation, it does not have the same comprehension for a cartoon and for animated things because he knows for sure that the sound does not go with the image. His comprehension separates the sound from the image. That the image was drawn and that the sound was recorded separately and they were put together. They were made to match together, put in sync. So that doesn't work for a cartoon, and it doesn't work for the likes of overdub, like maybe if you live outside of America, you might watch American movies in your own language, like in French. I know they did it in French. They have American movies and they speak French though, like it's the French overdub or Spanish overdub. This won't work here because you know in your comprehension, you know that voice doesn't go with the image. Likewise is the judgment of the one who duplicates the image from a book by way of the photocopier or the like. And he started by duplicating an image of the front cover that has a title and an author, etc. And then he photocopies the pages that have blasphemy. He does not blaspheme, so those are going to be counted all together. He photocopies the cover page with the citation. The cover page has the citation. And then he photocopies whatever other pages he wants to go along with this cover page. Then this is not blasphemy here. And like we said, the movies are already cited. And all those TV shows, movies, they cite them. Everyone wants their credit. So they're not going to fall short in citing here. As well, if he duplicates a book that has blasphemy in it, without starting from the first page, but the top of this page has the title of the book written on it, or the name of the author, then this is sufficient. He does not blaspheme. The same is the case if someone duplicates the image of an identification card of a kafir. He's a kafir, but on the card says he's a Muslim. Because in some countries they will register your religion on your ID. He does not blaspheme here because what is on the card is in reference to what exists in the government records. And you don't have to worry about this case here. The meaning of this talk here is that you work in an office, for example. You're a Muslim who learned this knowledge. You work in some office, and you are in a society that documents the religion of the person on the identification. And then you had to make a copy of this identification. It says he's a Muslim and you know he's a kafir. So you don't have to worry here. You're not going to commit blasphemy if you copy that. And when we said that the person needs to come with a citation, it is not necessary that this would be an uttered word with his tongue. Rather, it is also valid to be written, like I told you. The citation can be pronounced or written as long as it had a proper intention when written. And also, the citation can come at the beginning or at the end, but already having an intention to say it later. That happens sometimes. You're talking, so you want to say something, especially if you've learned this, then you'll be safe if you don't say the citation in the beginning, but you did intend to say it, and then after you finish saying everything you wanted to say, you did the citation. There's no blasphemy here. Or even if you forgot to cite it after you had intended that you were going to cite it, then you forgot, you still didn't commit blasphemy. And Allah the Exalted knows best. He said, please explain that about a person who copied for the government for work. Okay. Not that he's copying for the government. No. We're saying here the scenario is a person is in a society where they log the person's religion on his identification card. So you are somewhere working and you know this person is a kafir. And then you, whatever job you have, requires of you to make a copy, photocopy, for example, of his identification card. And his identification card says he's a Muslim and you know he's a kafir. Can you copy this? Yeah, it's not going to be blasphemy. It's not blasphemy. That's all we're saying. Question, is the movie name in the corner of the screen also works as a citation? I don't know. Question, does it make a difference whether one is alone or not when producing something that may need a citation? No. Doesn't matter if he's alone or he's not alone. Any other question? So then we're done this one. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. That was easy. So I thought I would finish this whole thing last week in one session. Now it's done. Can you repeat what you said about foreign language film? Yes. Foreign language film or animation. The point here is that not foreign language film, not foreign language film. Film with overdub. That means that you know that the voice does not go with the image originally. It's an American film, for example, but it's in French. So that means that they removed the English and they got French speakers to come and say French in the place of that. Or like some old Kung Fu flicks. So those guys are not talking in English originally. And you can even see their lips are not moving with the words that you hear when you hear English words. So this is not valid. That's just like a cartoon. When I say this is not valid, I mean this is not sufficient to consider that as a citation. What can you consider as a citation? When you see the image of the video image of the speaker and his sound also together, like your news anchor, for example, then you don't need a citation. Subhanallah. One person told me about a celebrity that celebrity was a Muslim. They met him. They said, I met Fulan. He was a Muslim. He gave me a salam. So that was so nice. Then, in this movie, he said blasphemy. So if a person takes that as like that's what basically he said that. Then he's going to deem that person as a kafir. He says, "Look, that's his image. That's his voice right there. That's blasphemy." That he's going to deem that as blasphemy. Then for him, it's going to be like if that person wrote blasphemy in his own hand, with his own hand, a pencil onto a piece of paper, and gave it to me. He's going to say, "That's blasphemy you wrote there. That's blasphemy. Say your shahada." Question, off topic, but is it haram if a Muslim says they don't feel like praying? Is it haram? I don't know that that's necessarily haram. Because when he says I don't feel like praying, doesn't mean that he wants to obey that. Could be saying, I don't feel like, I'm so lazy. Man, what's wrong with me? I don't feel like praying, but I'm gonna pray though. I don't know if it's necessarily blasphemy or haram. You didn't ask me if it's blasphemy. I don't know if that's necessarily as haram. Maybe he's just acknowledging a truth within himself. He says, I don't feel like it. I'm so sleepy and tired right now. I'm lazy. I feel willing to pray late. I feel willing to commit this major sin and sleep now and pray later and make it up. That's not blasphemy right there. Barakallahu fikum. What's next? I think it's time. Make dua for me to be very prepared. We have a book by one of the direct students of Imam al-Ash'ari. I've been holding off on this book for months, but I think it's time now. So, inshallah, I think next week we're going to start with this book. It's called Al-Mu'taqad al-Saghir by Imam Ibn Khafif. Ibn Khafif. You said if a person says a statement like "A'udhu billah," if they know that this isn't a citation, but they think it serves the purpose of one, distancing themselves from the blasphemy, is this the same as the case of invalid citation? And the question doesn't make sense for me, Habibi. How would he use "A'udhu billah" thinking it's a citation? Like what? So distancing himself from blasphemy. We're not talking about distancing. We're talking about citing. So how would he be saying "A'udhu billah" as a citation? What scenario is that? I can't see it personally. This document, yeah, I shared it before. I'll share it again. I'll give you the link. And this website here that I'm giving you this link to has some other books if you want. Check out the books on the website if you want. That's a bunch of free stuff there. If there are no more questions.
One more question, Shah.
Yes, please.
So for a person who believed that there was by pressing is generating the kufr, but he does not really, making it appear, but he does not really feel that he's responsible for the content in it. Does he still commit a blasphemy? If that's the case, what happens for the past actions? Does he recite shahada for that?
Can you repeat your question, please?
The person believes that what's in the file is codes. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So when he presses, he's making them appear, like
yes.
He said, generating them. But in his heart, he believes that he's not responsible for what is in there. It's like he's not the one who's making those things produce the kufur.
Then he's not putting facts together right. I haven't heard, but he definitely is not putting facts together right because he doesn't believe that the blasphemy is present, but he also doesn't believe. So you're saying he doesn't believe he's responsible for what's there. He has lack of comprehension here. If he knows that, if he believes that the blasphemy is not present before he presses a button, and that when he presses the button, the blasphemy will appear. This is enough for him to commit blasphemy if he does not cite it. And then if he says, I'm not responsible, we're going to say to him, you fulfilled all the conditions for blasphemy.
Mhm.
You're not responsible for the very, very first time it was written yet, but you're responsible for what you made appear on your screen now.
Okay. Okay, so he did this without knowing the judgment.
Yeah, exactly.
Does he have to recite Shahada for that?
Yeah, he has to say Shahada in this case.
Okay. Barakallah.
I mean,
Sheikh, right?
yes?
When you are listening on TV, I know a person is saying blasphemous. Of course, he is responsible, but I can say وَيَّذِ بِاللَّهِ for what he said. Correct?
Yeah, you can say A'udhu Billah for what he said. Yeah.
بارك فيكم. He
I
just
mean,
told.
wafikum. Yeah. Like what Musa said. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً. When Moses said to his people, indeed, Allah commands you to slaughter a cow. قَالُوا أَتَتَّخِذُنَا هُزُوًا. They said, do you take us as a joke? قال أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. He said, أعوذ بالله. I seek refuge with Allah from being like the ignorant people. It's like that, but that's not a citation. Someone you said once told me that when they wrote science exams, they would say some like that. I told them they need to quote, or they would say something like that. They would say they're not responsible. Yeah, we are responsible for what we say. We are responsible for what we do. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Alhamdulillah. Any other question? Yeah, go ahead. You can ask. There's some questions that I missed. It says, if a person has a name Abdul Rahman or the like, with the name of Allah in it, or even the name Muhammad, well, Muhammad's not going to be prophethood. Let's say he goes to the doctor and they do a urine test. So they give him a bottle with his name on it. Is it blasphemy if he urinates in it without removing the name? I haven't heard about this. But if he doesn't remember, then he doesn't. So that name Muhammad doesn't matter here. Only thing that matters here is that the name of Allah is part of his name. I haven't heard about this. I don't know the answer to that. He didn't put the name on the into the urine. He did not put the name of Allah into the urine. I haven't heard about this. Question. If a person sleeps during the prayer time but wakes up and prays the prayer while it's still in, are they sinful? No, why would he be sinful? The meaning of the question is, if a person prays on time, if he wakes up and prays on time, is he sinful? No, he's not going to be sinful. I mean, probably we do that all the time. How many people wake up at Fajr and pray? You said a statement when it comes to a video. You said a statement when it comes to a video. Can you repeat it, please? I'm not sure which statement you want me to repeat about the video. Question. If a person intentionally goes to sleep while the prayer is in, if he believes that he will not wake up before the time goes out, then he cannot sleep without praying. But if he believes that he will wake up, then he can sleep. And then if he doesn't wake up, he's not sinful. Yeah. So a person has a video. You can say, for example, it was depicted. Citation so easy. Yeah, that's it. And I'm not agreeing, by the way, that you can't say he said, but if that's what some of the sheikhs said, Yani, I don't know it. When I say I'm not agreeing, I don't know that that's true. That you can't say he said for a video. So instead of saying I'm not agreeing, I'm not confirming. I'm not confirming that you can't say he said for a video. I need to hear that from a strong sheikh so I can be confident.
Assalamualaikum, Sheikh.
Hold on one second. Wa alaikum assalam. Because you could use the word saying for an action. You could use the word saying for an action. Like it came in a hadith. Qala biyadihi. The Prophet said with his hand. This means made gesture. Yes, wa alaikum assalam. Go ahead, please.
Sheikh, I don't know if you said at the beginning of the class or not. When watching a TV show,
Why what?
watching a TV show, you made a citation before the TV show started. During the TV show, commercials come on, then it comes back on. Do you have to make another citation or not?
You only need citation if you know blasphemy is going to appear.
Okay,
if you know so let's assume you know blasphemy is going to appear. In the commercial, I haven't heard. I would, and I would advise any person to. From whenever I watched TV back in the day, the commercial always cut the stuff off for me, in my own comprehension. Like sometimes even fades to black. It's like the end of a scene, then commercial comes on. Sometimes they just immediately cut off whatever's playing, whatever's broadcasting, and just interrupt it with a commercial. Then the commercial goes off, then something comes back on. Let the person do a new citation for that. I haven't heard though. You can ask, but let a person do a citation for that.
Okay, that's what I was doing. But I'm saying, even a show that you already seen, you watching the rerun, I seen this.
And that's also if it's not already cited. Because so many times things are cited. If one person, he asked me, what about this? I said, it's already cited. He said, I didn't play the citation at the end. So it has citation at the beginning. He's trying to find a way. There's so many citations though. It's as if he's trying to say, nah, I definitely committed blasphemy. And I'm trying to tell him, no, it's cited.
Congratulations. Better below.
I mean, what feet? It says, can someone use the citation? Some people say or did for a video or a movie. Just whatever I just said now is what I can say. Like, it's so easy. Just say whatever you're citing. Someone recorded, for example. Someone animated. Someone like that. Just whatever it is, just cite it. It's so easy. Question: does a person blaspheme if they weren't clear on the judgment for citation when watching television or video, so they don't cite it? If a person produces blasphemy without a citation, he blasphemes. You can follow up with that if you want to. Question: when watching television or a video, can a person say they say in their head? That's not saying they say. Or does it need to be said out loud? Yani, it's very clear what we are saying here. We are saying, Yani. No, you can't do it like that. Barakallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك